Alright, let's try this again, and hopefully I won't hit escape this time. If you have the text tool selected, and you click on your text, it will reopen that text layer. If you click somewhere else when you have the text tool selected, it'll start a new text layer. We don't want that. So normally you would hit escape, but if I hit escape, it'll try and escape the recording again, as we learned from me shutting off the second recording. So instead, as I was trying to show you before, changing the leading with either the up arrow or the down arrow will change how far it gives you in between lines of text, and that can be pretty messy. But if you've got somebody who writes a really short article, not going to mention any brony names, that tried to be a writer and wrote a really crummy Words from Wise Man video, I shouldn't be talking like this, you might want to change the leading to spread out the lines a little bit to fill the space because he didn't write enough. He was very fond of his own writing. I have a pen that says I'm very fond of my own writing, but I don't go about bragging about it. Anyway, we don't need this text layer, so right-click on the layer, and where's delete? There's delete. Delete layer. The layer is gone. Now we need thingies. That was text, pencil, shape, eyedropper, gradient. Alright, I guess we'll reopen that. So these are our two colors at the moment, pink and white. If we wanted to pick a different color for white, let's say we do, I don't know, purple. Now I've got pink and purple. This will give us a pink and purple gradient. This is one color directly into another color. But if you go on diagonal, it'll go on a diagonal. If you were to pick radial, whichever color is the first color, be to the center and make a circle outward of it. Angle, you can see it does fun things. Reflected. Let's try that again. Starts with your first color and gradually goes to the second color on the outside edges. And diamond makes a fun little sparkly shape worth of gradient. I don't want gradients on my roughs. Get out of here, guys. Go back to what we were. We need a new layer again for our lines, and we want our colors to go back to black and white. No more gradients, please. Eraser. You can change your eraser size if you want. I leave mine on the almost top, number 9. Opacity, that's how much it'll see through, but you don't leave it on 100%. You can switch it to pencil, which means it'll do 9 exact pixels, versus brush means it will be a gradual erasing. I never played with blocks, so I don't know, and I don't know what these do, but you're welcome to play around with them and find out. Paint bucket, you've seen what paint bucket can do. Paint brush, I don't know what these other two brushes do. It looks like airbrush. I don't see a noticeable difference, so I'm going to leave it on regular paintbrush, and number 9 is probably fine. You might want to go with 13. Scroll down and see some of the other brushes. The things like this are not so good for doing line art, but they do exist. You can also go to other brushes that you can load in. I can send you some other brushes like anime stars and moons, or sparkly effects, bubble brushes. Oops, that's still set to grass. Oh, that's not a good bubble brush. You can go... Oh, these are fun. You can go looking online for your own brushes if you so desire, and then when you're done, you just bother. Forgot what a peanut necklace is. Excuse me. Up the top of the list is default brushes. That'll bring you back to your, okay, I just want a normal, 9 width brush, so I can do some line art. Leave it on 100%. Now I think we've gone over all the tools you would need. These 8 right here are probably the only ones you're ever going to need. Maybe the lasso, maybe the marquee, maybe the move. Probably zoom, but you can do that with your fingers, or you can just hit, Control minus, Control plus. Boop, boop. Right, Kirania, we need you to be down at 35. Looks good. I'm gonna nudge that up with my arrow key. Hit Enter to solidify it. And we need a layer for our lines. So we could go up top to Layer, New Layer, Shift Control N. We'll call this... We'll just call it Lines. Now that one, the opacity is set to full, 100%. Grab our glass, to zoom in. Now, I know you're used to doing a mouse. You can totally buy a mouse that's USB and plug it into the side of this computer to do it with a mouse if you'd like, but on the side, on your right, is that pen. So pull that pen out. Let's get used to that. Where your layers are over here. Close that for a minute so we don't accidentally lean on it, because more than once I've rested my wrist over here and accidentally clicked on the wrong layer. Or you know what we could do? We'll lock that layer, and then you can't do anything with it. The only one unlocked is the one you want to work on. And if you want to come back and unlock this layer, you just hit the little lock thing and it goes away. No harm, no foul. So we're working on that one. I'm going to collapse that. So hopefully you have your stylus tool out. You've clicked on paintbrush. You've got your jackal drawn on paper. Grab your computer by the edges of the screen, lift it up, and fold the keyboard under the screen. If it's sitting on your lap, the keys of the keyboard are on your lap, and you're looking at the screen like you would be looking at a sketch pad. Now you've got the stylus, you can just start going over your artwork like you were drawing it with pencil. It's rough to get used to, and sometimes you get a squiggly line like that you don't want, so come down here to undo. Rest your hand, get used to it. You can actually turn this around, which is very useful. It's like working with a sketch pad. You can rotate it if you need to draw a circle. Oops, undo. Not a good circle. If you draw circles in multiple parts like I do, draw a little bit, turn your computer a little bit, draw a little bit more, turn it a little bit, draw a little bit more, turn it a little bit, draw a little bit more. My computer is now sitting like halfway around from where you originally started when I was drawing. So it's not a perfect circle, but it'll do. Also, sometimes I just don't care. It occurs to me that this is not going to be anywhere near as big as I want it to be when I'm done, so I'm going to go back. Back. Now that I've shown you what you can do. And I'm going to change my brush size. 19 looks, what's 19 look like? Why can I not, oh, it changed what layer I'm on. I hit back too many times. Okay, collapse the tool options. Oh, that's too big. Okay, I don't like 19. We'll go with 13. What? Oh, yeah, okay, 19's good. Do. Collapse the tool options. When we get to something like his mustache, I'm on the wrong layer again, aren't I? Every time I hit back too many times, it drops what layer I was on. I have to rotate my computer to be able to draw this kind of thing. I'm not really happy with that mustache. Sorry, I'm hitting undo with my finger. You don't have to use the stylus to touch the screen. You can touch the screen with your finger, and sometimes you don't want to do that, and it does it by accident, but you live, you learn. That's what the undo key is for. I'm just coloring this with the stylus. You could also come along, grab the eraser tool over here, and just voila! Yes, sir. Make my eraser bigger. And I do have something else I want to, Max, I do have something else I want to show you, but I need some lines that I can fill in before we get to that. So, bear with me a minute while I finish up at least the eyeball on Garania. I like that arc. I don't like how it fell over into the other area. That's good. Okay. Now this circle thing. I said before, it takes me multiple parts to make circles. I'm just going to go back and erase that. We have the implied circle. Turning my computer again, like it was a sketchbook that I was rotating on my lap. I'll get rid of that ugly dot in a minute. That's from where my palm hit the computer screen while I was holding it. Goodbye, ugly little dot. And we probably want something like that for his pupil. I'm going to color his pupil in, because we all know pupils are black. It's all shiny white here, but I'm going to flip my computer back open for a minute. You could see down here the things change as I flipped it into tablet mode. Reopen my layers. When I do line art, I like to right-click and duplicate it. Just leave it named Lines Copy. And then do a new layer, Control-Shift-N for new layer, and call it Colors. This will come in handy for when you're doing Jackal later. Leave your lines on their own layer. If you were to turn off everything, this black and white gray and white checkered means everything else is completely clear except those black lines. I'm going to turn white on for a minute so you can continue to see. This magic wand tool, I don't know if you've worked with it before. You may have, you may not have. Excuse me. On your lines layer, click an area you're going to want to paint, and then switch to your color layer. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's lock our lines layer while we're here so we don't accidentally color on them. This will go all the way up to the black line, but sometimes that leaves a little bit of space in the corners where we didn't reach. Let me see if I can find one. Yeah, like see, there's a couple little pixels here that didn't get reached. So we go up to Select, Modify, Expand, and I usually expand by, I'm doing line art, 2 or 3 pixels. That's what it'll do. It'll go out beyond and catch all these extra pixels. And since our color layer is underneath of our line layer, we won't see any of the, oops, we won't see any of the color where that black is. We'll just see it go all the way up to the black. I'm just doing a real quick go over to make sure we didn't miss anything, because sometimes you have to go through and select things. Like, let's say this corner didn't get picked. We go through and say, like that. Let's say it accidentally missed grabbing the corner. You would come up here and grab your lasso, set it to add, and you take your lasso along on the screen. Now it's added. La-di-da. Making sure everything else got grabbed. Nothing worse than finding out you have one white pixel in a completely red or completely purple area. It happens. It does. Alright, so this is Garania. We know it's Garania, but let's just say we were doing, I don't know, Jackal colors. Orange. Grab your paint bucket, make sure you're on the color layer, bucket fill. But okay, now we've got colored orange. One would want to do, we don't want to leave it orange. We want to go a slightly darker color of orange. So you switch this come down here to your colors, and that flip-floppy arrow means your secondary color and your primary color. Change your secondary color. If you click on the block, it will bring up the color selector tool. Instead of touching the color selector tool, come back over to your blocks. Click on your opposite block, and it will automatically set your color selector tool to that other color. From there, you can say, well, I want a slightly more red, slightly darker shade of orange for the shadow. Now you have your original orange, and you have your shadow. Go to the paintbrush. There's three different types of softness. This first brush that occurs on the list is a hard brush. That's what we used for the lines. The next brush down is a softer brush. It leaves a bit of a softer edge. The next brush down, once we get past, I think it goes up to 300. After we get to that one, we get to a super soft brush, which is what I like to use for shadows, but 300 is too big. So max, maybe we use 65, maybe we use 100. 100 looks good, because it doesn't go all the way to the edge. Now you can come along and say, okay, well, on the inside of his eye, might have a little bit of a shadow going in there. You can't really see that, so maybe we don't want the super soft brush. Maybe we want the medium brush. We'll go back to the medium brush. 100. Okay, this is the medium soft brush. That's good. Now we can see a shadow. And we want a shadow underneath on this side of the eye. Deselect. Looks lovely. Let's do the inside. I don't know if we can still use magic wand on this one. Oh, we can. Good. Back to the colors. Let's say we were doing jackal colored eye, so then we want yellow. Switch colors. Go to the second one. Click on the second one. We have the color select. But we're staying over here to copy the same yellow. Now we could just keep it the same yellow, but we want a shadow. So I think yellow shadow is going to look orange. Switch to yellow. Grab our paint bucket. Make sure we're over here on the color layer. Oh, you know what we forgot? Undo. We forgot to expand, because now it's not grabbing all the pixels at the edge. So select, modify, expand, 2 or 3. Put the chair down, child. It is not a drum. Put it down. Making sure real quick that we don't have any, no, okay, we don't have any areas we missed. Corners or anything. Corners are the worst. Okay, we've paint bucketed it. We should still have our soft brush selected. Yep, so we switch colors to orange. Collapse that. Do a little bit of, we're on the right layer. A little bit of orange right where his eyelid is. Show it's casting a shadow. Maybe we have a little bit down here. I don't know. There we go, like that. And then I don't know what color we want to do inside. This is just a made up thingy. So let's select, modify, expand 3, switch down to our colors layer, and let's give it something absurd like teal. More of a turquoise than a teal. I don't care. But a little bit more blue. Oof, yeah, let's go back to our original. And a little bit more. Yeah, that looks good to me. Okay. So we bucket fill it, and we go through and we shadow on it. And you may see anime eyes that go like that because they're trying to add depth. The next thing you can do, you don't have to. If you hit D, it'll put you back to black and white. That's the default colors. Go to the white. Pick a super soft brush. So if you go further down, you get the super soft brush. Collapse that. Whoop. Oh no! I forgot the eyeball is on our lines layer. Alright, so we want to go to our top layer, Control Shift New, and we'll call it Highlights. Why is it still not? Oh, I see. Okay. I see what the problem is. Leave it on Highlights. Control D for deselect. Grab your magic wand up here. Go to the lines layer. We want that and that. Come up to Highlights and we go to Select, Modify, Expand by 3. Oh, you know what? No, we don't want to expand by 3. We want to stop directly at the lines. This is iffy. Highlights are always iffy. But then we should be able to get a reflection on the eye. We can even come through and give it a slightly smaller brush. Oh, 17 either. Okay. There we go. 32 is good. And go like boop, 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 boop. That could be all the reflections under the ocean in his one eye. Be a little, maybe like that. I don't know. Depends on what kind of light source we got. Then you can come through and do the magic wand tool. No, not rectangular marquee. Magic wand. Go to the lines. Click on that one. Come back up to highlights. Click on your eyedropper and grab your yellow. Now, instead of going with the shadow color for your yellow, we want to do the duplicate your yellow again, but instead this time we want to go to a highlight color. Keep your soft brush. Maybe right there we give it a little bit of highlight. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's going to really care. I don't think anybody's even going to notice half the time, but that's how you do it. Come back over here to the magic wand. Lines layer, outside outline, highlights layer, which is on the top so it's above our lines. Do not expand because then it'll go into our lines. We need the base color. So eyedropper, grab the base color, switch, you can grab the base color again if you want to. And then instead of doing a shadow, we want a highlight color. Still got the soft brush, a little bit of highlight just on the top. Just on the top, just a little bit, and a little bit right here. That's probably good enough. Control D for deselect. Now if we turn off our white layer, oops, we're going to have no white in the middle. That is a thing you need to watch for. Always turn off your white layer when you want to save clear. Go to your lines. Anything that would have been white, excuse me, go to your colors layer. Select, modify, expand by 3. Good. Here's a section of corner that we're going to need to show you on. I'm on zoom. Here is a spot where I said sometimes it doesn't always grab everything. You grab your lasso tool, grab that extra area. Grab a little bit further there, a little bit further there. I'm going to go to the other side of his eye. This area didn't get grabbed. These areas didn't get grabbed. Now that whole area is grabbed. Now if we do D, it will default the colors. You can flip them. Bucket tool. Make sure you're on your color layer. Okay, good. It filled both of them. Control D for deselect. And now you could save this and it would save as a clear ping. That's the best kind of art to send people for if they're having to insert it on something, because if they've got all this background noise going on, like a piece of paper might have specks of dust or shadow, and they try and select along on your paper, and they're going to be grabbing random pieces of dust and white, and it's a pain in the neck. You can up this, but at some point it's going to start grabbing into your line art, and you don't want it grabbing into your line art. You can see it started to grab the black. And that's a real, you gotta go, when it starts doing that, in order to get rid of the stuff behind it, you have to go along like with a fine tooth comb and almost re-art someone's art in order to delete the background. And it takes a while and it's a pain in the ass. Nobody likes to do it. So when you go through to make your final piece, turn off your white or delete your white, delete your original paper drawing, just keep lines, lines copy, colors, and if you did a highlights layer, keep your highlights layer. I don't particularly want a highlights layer. I don't particularly want a colors layer. I shouldn't have deleted that stuff though, because I need that stuff for what I'm doing, which is I am doing a coloring page, so I just want the lines. But that hopefully helps with this is how you line art and color in Photoshop. I don't remember if we covered save and save as, but you can hit save. We must have, because the asterisk's not there. Once you're done with save as and you want to save it as a file to transfer to somebody, save it as a ping. Yeah, we can leave that name there. It'll pop up this thing with what kind of options you want. Don't mess with the options. Just hit OK. It'll do its little I'm thinking thingy. Sometimes it moves, sometimes it doesn't. Come on, thingy, you're not that big. Finish saving. The bigger the file, the longer it takes to save.